Hello, everyone. Once again, my name is Jonathan Brody. I'm the director of bands in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. I teach middle school band and chorus. I've now done 3 videos. The first 2 I posted yesterday. I recorded one this morning, which I'll post later this afternoon, and I'm recording one more now. Talking about mixers, microphones, cables that you may see in your pro audio sound systems, and the different things that may be in your schools. You either don't know how it works, doesn't know, or needed a resource, and I'm hoping that this will be a resource for you and future educators, band, chorus teachers, and feel free to share these with your drama teachers as well, as I know that they use a lot, and dance as well, utilize a lot of this equipment day in and day out, and hopefully that'll help you with not being the one called to fix it, or maybe you can make your program sound a little bit better. This video, like I said, we already talked about a few things. This video we're going to talk about speakers, the different kinds, different options out there if you're in the market for them, and what they're, as well as amplifiers and how those work in tandem. So there are 2 main types of speakers out on the market today. You have passive speakers and active speakers. A passive speaker is the old school speaker. A passive speaker is merely that. It is a speaker by itself. This one here is an example. I have lots of these around my campus. It's probably a little hard to see, but on the back, this has 2 just 1/4-inch jacks. It could have a speak-on jack. It could even have a banana clip on the back. That's also possible. If you're unsure what any of those are, check out the cables video. That kind of gives you some examples of what those are and what some of those jacks look like. It has no power, so in order to power a passive speaker, you have to also purchase an amplifier with it, and that way you can amplify that sound to a audible level. They are tried and true. They work very well. I have installed them even in my brand new auditorium sound system. We installed active speakers, because the benefit is that you have to have power for an active speaker. We'll show you active speaker in a minute. You don't have to have power for a passive speaker in the location where the speaker goes. On an active speaker, this is an active speaker here. I have a built-in amplifier on the back of this. So it has an XLR input, and it has a 1/4-inch input, and then it also has an out throughput, so I could connect another active speaker to this that was a matching pair. And it has some EQing leveling available on it, depending on the size and what you're doing with it. They have some that have all kinds of cool stuff and filters and effects and things, and then you have some that are more basic, like this one. But this one, you have to have power, and I have a cord that's all of maybe 4 feet long. I have to have a plug right next to that. The other thing is if you're going to leave this in an area, either in your band room or a choir room or your auditorium, you have to put a switch on this, because otherwise, if the power stays onto it and you're not going to get up there and climb up there and turn the speaker on and off, you're going to blow the amplifier out. The amps are not designed to run 24/7 all day long, okay? So there are benefits to this. If you're outside, small venue, weddings, things like that, small jazz combos, you bring your speaker, boom, it's pick it up, carries in a hand, plug it in, and you're good to go. And you can mic that one little solo you have to do, or you can play that audio track for your choir, but you don't have to lug around these big heavy speakers with amplifiers and mixers all in a rack. These are a great resource. But if it's going to sit on the wall, I personally would recommend going the active route. You can put the rack, it's not going anywhere. You have no intention of it moving. That's the better route. If you're looking for something that's maybe going to be kind of a combo, I'm going to buy that one speaker. It's going to work in my room, but it's also going to be the speaker that works in mobile venues, going places, jazz combos, um, the whole kind of gamut, and it puts out a lot of sound. There are some in between kind of options. This is one of them. This is the Yamaha Stage Pass system. They have, I think, 4 versions in total. They have a 400 series and I think a 600 series, and then each of those has one with Bluetooth and without Bluetooth. I have the 400. My counterpart at the high school has the 600. The price difference is a few $100. The 600 puts out a little bit more sound. I believe that one is 600 watts per channel, whereas this one's 400. They both still put out a lot of sound, especially by themselves, and if you partner it with like a subwoofer, it's immense amount of sound. I can put both these, this is a 2-set pair, and you can fill the cafeteria, auditorium, anything with this kind of setup. The benefit is on this kind of system, it has a powered amplifier that actually plugs right into the back of the speaker on one, and then the other one is has a cutout like this as well. It just has a cover where you could put like a mic cable and the power cable and that kind of stuff, and it has the speaker cables. So it has a little mixer built into it. This is a full 4-channel mixer. It's got XLR combo jacks, which means it'll accept XLR cables, microphone cables, and it'll accept your standard 1/4-inch cables, and then 2 just XLR, as well as RCA and 1/4-inch stereo 1/4-inch cables on your total of 8-channel mixer. And then it has a separate channel for your Bluetooth control. It has some effects on here, which is also a pretty cool thing. We didn't really get into effects a lot on the mixers because most of the time we're not going to use that. And it's got a master volume as well. And then it's got 1/4-inch speaker out cables that are powered. And so those powered speaker cables feed into the back of each of these speakers, and they're pretty good long cables, and will power your speakers. This thing is pretty crazy with the amount of juice that it'll put out. And this is a really good option if you're gonna put this on the wall in your band room. You can turn the mixer off, and then your speakers aren't getting power. You aren't going to kill anything and have to replace it in a few years. But you can easily take this off the racks in the wall and take it to your jazz band gig or anything. We use this. We got this new last year. That was kind of the deal. I gave them I gave the school my old JBLs that are big and bulky that we used for mobile trips, and they were big 15-inch speakers. We put those on the wall, and then they bought me these because a new set of JBLs would be probably north of about $2,000, and this runs about $1,000 for the set. So they got 2 speakers for the price of one, and I got a much smaller combo. The other thing is size. So like both these speakers here, this active and this Yamaha set, these are 12-inch speakers, I believe. These are 10. These might be 10s. Yeah, these are 10-inch speakers. So the cone is only 10 inches in diameter. It's smaller. Generally, if you're going to look for more bass, you're going to look for larger diameter speaker. This one over here is, I believe, a 14 or a 15. Common sizes are going to be like your 10s, your 12s, your 15s, your 18s, and then I think when you're getting into subs, you can even get like a 20. And that's going to be, size matters when it comes to speakers. Larger cones are going to have more tendencies where you can hear finer notes, but with the way technology is going today, these smaller speakers are really good for, especially if you partner them with a subwoofer. Let me put a note in so I remember. Connection, speak on banana. And some will have combos, some have throughputs. So for example, on this one here, there's 2 1/4-inch jacks. So you can run the 1/4-inch in from your amplifier and your mixing board and then you can run another 1/4 inch out to another speaker. And I'll show you an example of that when we kind of go to the demo here in my band room and what the differences are. The other thing is when you're picking amplifiers, you got to make sure you have enough power and enough wattage. So this one is 400 watts per channel to each of these speakers, but they've engineered this all together. This 110 puts out, I think, 300 watts per channel, but you have to understand the law. So if I kind of bring you over here to the board, if you're unfamiliar and you look up, there's some basic engineering that has to happen when you're considering what you're going to buy and what you need. So an ohm is going to be volts over amps, voltage, amperage, and electricity, because that's ultimately what we're doing. We're providing an electrical circuit in order to create our audio signals. To bring you over here to our mixing board and everything that we've got going on here, and kind of for a demo. So what I have here is 4 15-inch Yamaha club speakers that are mounted up on the walls in my band room. 2 speakers per channel. So on the back of my amp here, there's speak on out or 1/4 inch out. It's combo. You can do either. And I'm running 1 cable out of channel 1 and 1 cable out of channel 2. And those are running to 1 speaker each, and then out of that speaker to another speaker. And so they're running in series, parallel series. And that means that the resistance circuit is different from a 1-to-1 situation. 1-to-1 being that you had 1 channel for 1 speaker. And this is where amperage and ohms come into play. So I have a 2500 watt crown, or 2500 crown, which puts out roughly 400 watts per channel, give or take. So I'm running 400 watts to channel 1 to 2 speakers. Assuming that's at 8 ohms, now I've added 2 speakers, so there's more resistance in the circuit. So that means we're really running at 6 ohms or maybe even 4 ohms. So we're only actually getting about 300 watts in the channel. You can do things like also high pass filters. So for comparison, like this Natty here, it does not run nearly as much power, which is great for like little monitors and stuff. But you can't do things like high pass filters or low pass filters. And what that means is, so this is a digital amp. So if you see down here, I have the high pass filter on. What that means is in any high frequencies over a frequency that I set, so let's say 80 hertz, is going to be able to pass through in signal is going to be able to pass through this amp and will go out to the speakers. But the lows are going to get stopped and not go there. The reason I have that set up that way is on this situation, I have a subwoofer. And so my subwoofer takes care of all of those frequencies down there in the low 80 hertz range and produces those for me. For a little bit of a live demo here, we'll come back in 1 second. I'm going to set up and we're going to do a little live demo so you can kind of hear the difference between with the subwoofer and without the subwoofer. So we'll be back in just a second. Okay, we're back. Just for an update here, I have it set up with an audio track that uses a good bass versus. We have the high pass filter on, so we have it set up how I would play it like in band class right now. And I'm gonna let you hear it. And just so that you all know, if you don't own one of the Zoom like Q8s, that's what I'm using to shoot these. It's a video camera, HD. I believe it's either 720 or 1080p, high definition camera, but it has very, very good microphones built into it that you can use to record very good audio quality. You can set it right up near the stage in your concert, and it would be as if you were there. They're very, very good. So we should get some really good audio quality out of this in the end. So you can hear the bass, that boom, 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 boom. I'm going to now turn my subwoofer off so you can hear the difference. So you'll notice we took out really all of the bass drum sound, kick drum sound, or what would be like the tuba sound. And all you hear is that bari saxophone and that trumpet in the upper range, and then your upper percussion. Here it is with the sub again. So that's what the high pass filter does on our amp. Now if I take off the high pass filter, I can play it again, and you'll hear, and I've turned my subwoofer off, you'll hear just a normal as if you were going to play it. And now you hear that bass drum is still in there, but you do lose some of that low end. It's still a very good, high quality sound, but I'll be honest, once you go subwoofer, you never want to go back again. For comparison, in our sound system, in the auditorium, we have more or less the same setup, except we don't have a subwoofer. There we have some Apogee speakers and some very high-end amplifiers, and you really can't tell the difference. I mean, it'll make your ears bleed in there. If you wanted to have a rock concert, you could have a rock concert. In here, we added the subwoofer about a year ago. I had the opportunity to, through some certain funds, use it for very specific things, and that was something I could use it, so that's why we decided to do it. Models and brands, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, amplifiers, QSC, in my opinion, makes some of the best amplifiers. I don't really have a lot of them around my campus, just because they are very expensive, and some of this stuff is stuff that we had before. Crown makes some okay stuff for amplifiers. I don't have a problem with them. I have them here, obviously, as well as I have a older Crown amp in there. They do have a tendency to sometimes fail sooner than you would think they should. My personal opinion, though, is if you're going to buy an amp, go with a QSC. They're there. For speakers, Yamaha is making some really, really great stuff. Apogee is probably the top, in my opinion, but they are custom built to spec. So you make an order, and then it could take 3-4 months, and then they're going to send you exactly what you wanted. They're probably the best. Presonus is making some really great stuff for mixing boards, and I think they have a line of speakers as well. A lot of the field carts and field stuff out in the marching field are using that as well. Most of my stuff's Yamaha, just because it's very consistent. And then there are some other brands. Behringer has some speakers out. The one you saw earlier is a Behringer. I picked that up for really, really cheap. I was watching like Craigslist or something, and somebody was selling it. They're okay. They work good. I think that's mostly everything that we kind of wanted to cover when it comes to speakers and the things that you might encounter When you're looking for different stuff, like I said, make sure you put enough power to it. Probably if I was going to build this system again, like here in the band room, I'd probably do a second amplifier and do it in what's called bridged mode. And so I'd run one channel for my left and one channel for my right, but I would have to probably drop the subwoofer just because I have to have enough outputs to do that. And run each speaker on its own channeled amplifier, and that's a little more complex than what we needed, or just beef up that amplifier a little bit more because it can be a little bit underpowered, and you don't want to blow $1,000 speaker. Anyways, thank you for watching. I've gotten some really great comments, and even as the day's gone through, I've seen them, and I will respond to those. If you please comment below if you've got something you want to see. One of the big comments was, "Hey, can you put all these in a playlist on YouTube?" So I'll work on that. It takes a little while to upload these because they've got a little bit of length to them, and we'll hopefully answer some of your questions. I'm going to do another video on if you're going to build it from scratch, what are some of the brands and models and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to put it all together for you, and then we'll probably cover a little bit of troubleshooting in that video as well, so that when you walk in, if you hear that scratchy sound or if you hear popping, what are some of the things you can kind of go to look for in troubleshooting. Thank you once again. I hope these have been helpful, and see you in the next video.